Do I look beautiful?
It's the president of Call of Duty.
What, you know?
We're here with Daz Games.
Yay! We're here.
And so, no, thanks so much. I really, really appreciate this. This is
No, thanks
massive for us.
for lighting the fire.
Oh, mate,
nice
love it.
toasty. In summer.
We've shown you a little bit behind the scenes now. And what was your sort of first reaction to the game and some of the tech that we've been building?
Well, when you first showed me it, I thought you were just showing me like where you walked your dog. Like that's how real it looked. And
Dude, that's
it didn't
awesome,
like
mate.
click until you were like talking about shading and stuff and textures. I was like, wait, this is like an image from the game.
That is
insane.
exactly what we want to hear. Like that is the whole point of sort of the
Yeah.
process of we're building that. So, no, dude, that's awesome, man. I've got a feeling because I'm a shit interviewer, I'm going to burn through these questions really quickly and then we can just chat. So next. Phineium, your character. Well, just for anyone who doesn't know, so Daz, we approached Daz a little while ago, and the whole purpose is we really wanted him to voice his character. We've been writing for a while, and it's like perfect for your style of sort of comedy and delivery, and it's got it's a nuanced character. It's got some sort of dark edges, which always makes it a little more fun sort of thing. The one thing I wanted to sort of share with the world is that not everyone knows we're deliberately keeping sort of his identity under wraps. Man, when we approached you, like, what were your thoughts?
I mean, I've previously done some voice work, but it was never, it was just like little cameos. And when I found out like that it was going to be like a massive presence in the game, because the vendor is almost at the center of the world. They're the characters that you remember. Like, we spoke about like the different vendors from like things like Final Fantasy, like Resident Evil. Like they have just such memorable lines, and they meme them, and so it's like a massive honor to be approached by such a studio. You know, I'm just an idiot, so
Oh, mate, dude, you're talking to me. Do you know what I mean? Sure. I'm actually gonna these questions because I think it's easier.
Hey, sorry to cut you off. Happy Friday the 13th. We just hit 1,000 members on our Discord. Crazy. If you want to be one of the lucky winners to win one of these stunning posters, join our Discord, go to the announcement channel, find my terms and conditions I've posted, and drop an emoji, and your name will be added to the list. Now, carry on watching the video.
Like, mate, when we first sort of approached you, like, obviously we're known in the sort of outsourced side of things, but we're not known at all in a public facing sort of way. Like, what was the first you heard of us? Like, when did we like hit your radar?
you were on the beach.
Yes. Okay, cool. I wondered if that was it.
And you were wearing one of my hats. And I first I thought it was just like a fan video. And then you started talking about games, and I recognized the image that's behind me, this hairy back.
Yeah.
Very detailed, realistic hairy back.
Say back seriously here.
Yes. I thought, is that his hairy back? And I was like, wow, okay, this is like a game shoot. This is like crazy. And I love that you guys like know who I am and stuff. So, but it was very hard to decipher because we've seen so little of the game at this point.
Yeah.
I knew it was a game, and I knew you guys were a big deal. And I knew you guys were like fans, but that was like the first just introduction to you guys.
Mate, that's awesome. Because I remember like when we first sort of started the journey, obviously, like I said, we've written your character, and it was like a big part of our roadmap. Like, we've got to get that. We've got to make this happen, sort of thing. So I know nothing about like anything in terms of like approaching actors, approaching anyone in that sphere. Yeah. And so I rang up your agent, and I was like, right, we're making a horror game. Let's get on the phone. Like, I'll meet Daz now. Yeah. And it was all like, yeah, it's not really how it happens, mate. so I was like, all right, okay. And then I had Chanel and Chris over, who were big parts of the team, and I can't remember why. We said what we're going to do is we're going to buy loads of Daz's merch, and we're going to do something with it. And we bought it all when it arrived. And then I said, get a fucking chair. Let's go to the beach and shoot something. And I thought the joke would be we won't mention Daz. will wear all of his stuff. We had more than you think as well, mate. We had plushies, everything.
Yeah.
And
Thank you for buying the merch, by the way.
oh, dude, yeah. Well, the key is just get wet on camera. That gets Daz. So,
It worked.
mate,
It worked.
yeah.
Instantly.
Mate, happy days. Yeah. I'm just gonna get wet on camera moving forward for anything I want. So, but no, mate, like that was it. Like, and then we connected back with your agent, and it was really great. And like we sort of said, oh look, like, really want to talk. And you emailed me.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, like, here we are.
Yeah, it's
You know?
crazy.
And we've got your biggest fan in the corner, by the way, just that you know. So Chanel is watched you how long? Stalked you religiously.
11 years. I forget how long I've been doing this shit. Like, I'm surprised I've done it like this long, and the fact that it's led to opportunities like this is crazy.
Oh mate, that's awesome, man.
Thanks
That's
for
awesome.
like picking me up. And
No, dude, that's awesome, mate. Like, out of interest, if you weren't in the acting scene, if you weren't in the content creation scene, like, what if you had to pick something that you think, oh, I'll go into that? Like, do you have an answer for that? Like,
I mean, when I was like 8 years old, like we spoke before the interview about like films and their influence, like Jurassic Park and stuff. That was like, in my eyes, that was the first time I saw a dinosaur brought to life. It was a magic time, and I instantly came out the cinema and I was like telling my dad, like, I want to do that. Like, I want to do this. And he was like, well, you want to be like a dinosaur? I'm like,
yes,
no,
that
Dad. But yes, as well to that. But no, I want to do what they do on screen, and it just opened up a whole world. But like, I had very sort of traditional parents. Like, you know, it's not easy. You just got to go to work. You got to pay the bills. They even tried to say that, you know, you're never going to earn money playing all these games.
Mum.
That changed. So it was very hard to like pursue that dream. But in the end, obviously YouTube and social media became a thing, and we moved away from dial-up. And this is how old I am, by the way.
Dude, dial-up, man.
Still hear it. Drive me crazy. But yeah, but without it, I probably would just be like very unhappy. Trying to find a job that I liked. I went from job to job to job, just to find something that at least makes me happy. I don't believe in going to work and not enjoying it.
No, I'm with you there, mate. 100%.
Yeah.
Like, not to throw my mum under the bus. I love my mum a lot, but I love you, mum. But
it was a different generation. Like they couldn't see
Totally,
it coming.
mate.
We couldn't see it coming. Like the term like YouTuber didn't even exist when YouTube was out. So
mate, well, I was going to say with the we had a conversation, like I said, like when Lord of the Rings, I think it was weird. It was Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring came out on DVD, and they had a making of the Two Towers game.
yeah.
And I got absolutely obsessed with it, mate. Like, really, like, absorbed. I was constantly watching it. So from then on, I can't remember what it was, like 6, 7, something like that, 8 maybe. But I watched it like every day, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna make games. Like that was it from then. And then again, sorry, mum, but went to school, and my family are sort of like scientists. That's sort of what you do, and so like it was. I was like, oh, Mum, I'm gonna do all the arts. I love art. I want to go to games now. And like, just because she loves me, she was like terrified. She was like, no, none of that. Like, you're not gonna do any of that. And so like, I wasn't allowed to do art.
Yeah.
Went to sixth form and I fucking rebelled.
Yeah.
I took up like physics, biology, and that was like, fuck all that stuff. Like day one, 3D, and then sort of like went from there. If you
Yeah.
know. But,
When you know, you know.
yeah, no, dude, exactly, mate, exactly.
That's it.
With all the fame side of things, has it been hard acclimating to that?
I mean, I've had a few weirdos, you know. I think everyone has in my position. I've had like, you know, people like come to the house and,
really?
you know, I've had like people Snapchat my living room through my window and stuff like that.
yeah.
Like, you know, and that's where I'm like, that's unpleasant. That's scary.
Yeah,
you know,
totally,
like,
totally.
but that's very far and few between. And it was a bit weird at first, because to me, I'm like, I do what anyone can do. You know, when I was growing up, fame was like Tom Cruise. You know, like that's like a superstar that the whole world knows. And it's like I just set up a webcam and I'm a moron. So it's very hard for me
if
to
you get
see.
anyone to set up a camera. Do you know what I mean? Not many people are worth watching, but I get your point. I do get your point, mate.
So but I appreciate it. Every interaction I have is normally really like respectful and positive, and we just have a laugh, and it's just really cool to hear how me being an idiot has somehow like either like helped or just got them through a hard time, and I resonate with that. It's distraction. So
Totally.
we all need a distraction, and if that's me.
Well, you've got a whole audience. No one can see this, but there's a whole load of people there who've watched you for a long time.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the hallway there.
No, man, yeah, seriously, man. Like, yeah, I don't know how I deal with someone who's sort of like trying to take pictures from my window and whatnot, but like, yeah, you never had like Will Smith try and slap you or anything like that?
No, not yet.
No, go. Yeah, don't know why.
I'm not that level yet. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Guys, I'm going to ask you about what was it that excited you about Richard Tides?
I knew very little, and when it comes to horror, that's a lot. That like the subtle, the better. I'm not a fan of like the jump scare horrors or the ones that just give it all away. I just stopped watching trailers now altogether because it's just it gives away the movie. Like, and we've lost that golden age of, you know, here's a little bit, come see more. And this, I was like, we've seen little snippets, and obviously the graphics look insane. Like, and again, horror, I'm instantly going to be interested. That is my favorite genre. There's something about horror that, you know, creates a reaction that you just don't get anywhere else. So horror games in particular, and a new AAA horror. I think you used the clip of me like saying like, when is there going to be a AAA? Yeah, I was like, God, like I'm asking for one, and like I love all the little indie games and stuff, but we really need like, you know, somebody to come punch us in the face.
Well, dude, that's what we're trying to step into. That like obviously we're like a small new name studio. Yeah. But the tech we've been pushing, luckily we managed to get loads of people interested, and we got some money sort of backing it after pouring loads in ourselves. And yeah, like we want to come out there and like really showcase like what can be done with a smaller team. All people who are super passionate. Like we've got all of our team are like really senior, really like let's just die hard into what we're doing. Yeah. Like I owe them a lot. You know what I mean? Like like I said, we've got two people here who were in Estonia yesterday. They just got back and they've come back here. It'd be great if you had any questions for us. Do you mind like?
I have a card.
Oh, sexy.
Yes. I wrote some questions down. It's not that type of card.
Okay.
Let's not get excited.
Yeah, I was getting excited.
Okay. So, my questions are this. Okay. You're an independent studio. You come from different backgrounds, different like studios. You've taken the risk of leaving that and going out on your own on like a new IP. Like, what is that like?
Must be scary.
Mate, it was interesting. So look, when I had the idea for Vertpaint back when I was working at Rockstar. Yeah. And at the time, though, I just felt like I haven't got enough experience to I've got to work more of the sort of craft to really understand how to start a studio. Yeah. And so like I then hopped over to Canada, worked for DE for a while again. I've been so lucky. Every team I've been in is like taken me under their wing and taught me loads. But then I got the itch. Like I've always been a writer, so I've always wanted to like tell stories and whatnot. Yeah. And the Richard Tides story, it started coming to me like mid my Canada stay. Yeah. And then the itch got way too strong, and I thought, you know what, like. We're just my poor wife, I was like, right, we're stable right now, but let's just try this, you know? And mate, like I said, we were talking earlier, like, I moved to England, incorporated the company, I think we made like 13 grand in the first year, and I was over the moon, because I was like, we made money, there's some money, you know? Yeah. And it just scaled and scaled. And yeah, the scariest point was when we had a nice little war chest for our team. We worked really hard, and we scaled the company up, you know, working for other clients in the industry. And I basically went to the team and I said, right, we're comfortable now, but we could do that thing we keep talking about, you know, the thing. Yeah. And we'd already trademarked it at this point, so I was like, right, let's just, as long as everyone's happy, let's do it. And everyone was like,
so the story, the game was just almost like, was that just something that whilst you were away working at like Rockstar, is that something that like you shelved and then you've always been working on it and one day you would do it?
Yeah, in a way. So when I first thought the game, the first game I thought about that I really wanted to do was a horror game set in a space station. And it was completely different, but it had a similar cult feeling. There was at the time I was writing about what I call shepherds and whatnot, and there's a lot of that DNA that's moved over into Richard Tides. Yeah. But the time in which it really struck me is I was in Canada, and I was like, I guess I was sort of missing the British countryside. I've always sort of been around the countryside here. Yeah. And I just started to think about this really horrible story, and I was like, this is really cool. I'm really into this.
It's creepy out in the countryside. Like sometimes there's no like lights, and the roads and the stone walls. I've done like many like ghost hunts out there, and they're always the most terrifying. And you could think of like an alien story or like a sci-fi story like off the top of your head.
Mate, that was it.
Straight away.
It was one of those ones where it's exactly that. Like I heard a story at the time about the hairy hands in Devon. And have you ever heard of it? No. Right. Okay. Right. There is a folk tale in Devon, and between you and I, it's probably people just being really pissed and be like, it was the hairy hands. But what it is like there's a road, one particular road, where people claim that these hands grab the wheel, they're hairy, and they steer them off. But the fucking best part about the story is when they describe them, they say they were invisible.
I know they're hairy.
I know, mate, I know. But like, that is exactly what I'd say if I was pissed and I went off the road. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
but so I heard that and I started going, okay, it's really like there's humour in this, but it's interesting. And then I looked into like Devon in particular. I've gone obsessed with Devon, and so when it came to, you know, we were in Canada at the time, like I said, and I was like, look, we've got to move to Devon. Like, we're going to make this, you know, we're going to hopefully plan to make this game. I really want to be immersed in that place, and again, we sort of faced a little bit of criticism from people who loved us. They were like, "You got to go to London. Like, if you're gonna start a company, you got to be around people." Yeah. I was like, "But I really want to go there."
Like, my next question was like, what was the spark that started it? But I guess like Devon and hearing these folklores, and also like when you think about it, there hasn't been a lot of horror films, horror games set in this setting. That's unique in itself. So
No, it's a good point, mate. Like, I said the spark though, because I was still very nervous. So I was like, right, we've got this group, we've got a really cool team. We're kicking ass for our clients, and we're really sort of like building a name for ourselves in the tech side of things. But it was always that case of, oh yeah, it's like the money that the company saves, it feels like it's the whole team's sort of pot. And once I finished the first draft of the script, there's a guy called, are you aware of Adam Neville?
No.
So have you seen The Ritual on Netflix? It's got
remember the front cover of it, and I've yet to watch it.
And there was another one called No One Gets Out Alive, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of his, and he's also cut from the same cloth in that he likes Lovecraftian horror and whatnot. Obviously, way more accomplished writer. I'm not, you know, but like, so I randomly reached out to him and I said, look, Adam, I'm James. I've got a tiny little games company. We're looking to go and make this thing, and it's going to be a substantial investment, blah, 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 blah. Could we, in any way, I'll pay you to meet up and just chat about it? And he was awesome. He was like, look, I signed an NDA, don't need to pay me, none of that stuff. We met up, and he really liked the script. And so it was the early days script, it was like the outline, really. And at that point, I was like, the man who wrote The Ritual likes ritual ties. We're fucking going for it, you know?
And that like comes into like play, and it also comes into my next question. Like, you've obviously like gone out on a whim. You've taken a risk already, but you didn't just start with a basic like indie game. Like, this is like a AAA horror.
Oh, it terrifies
like,
the team, mate.
They're like crazy, hard to make. You need like a big team, which you have. They're all crammed into the corridor.
Yeah.
Like, what was that like, getting all that together, and like, how have you managed that?
Dude, it's been weird. It's been really weird because like it's like some people grow up like really idolizing athletes and footballers and stuff. I've always been I've been like obsessed with developers, and so like talk about a lot of the things like Weta Studios. I was absolutely obsessed with all the developers there, and I just wanted to like immerse myself in like groups of people who were similar-minded. So when it came to building a team, it was like Christmas, mate. Yeah. And when we started earning money through the client work, like I remember when I was approaching Chris, like I had Chris and like in terms of material work, I had him like really at the top of my list. And I mean, Chris, what was that first fucking call like? It must have been weird. I was like, I really like your work, Chris. We'd like to work for us. We're a small company.
Straight now, I was super excited for it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So like, so like in terms of like one thing we have really attracted is people who are super passionate, and we've done this thing, whether right or wrong, we've opened up a public server on our Discord, like join our Discord, and we've basically poured the whole team in there, and we've all gone with the approach of we can all be super transparent. There's secrets to the game that I absolutely don't share, but like everyone's really passionate, and I kind of think that's like our selling point. Like the team is like the marketing team. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I hope I don't even know what the question was. Sorry, mate.
No, it's fine. It's cool. I think like that answered it, and it's like it leads on to. I think this is really important, especially in the horror space where we're seeing like a lot of like repeats, a lot of the same formulas, a lot of people predicting, like predictable horror is the worst. I have to say, as a fan of horror,
Awesome.
what makes your studio, especially being so new and working on other titles like in the industry, like what makes you guys different?
Ooh.
What can we expect?
Okay, off the bat, in terms of the team,
Yeah.
so 6 years, 100% retention, no one's ever left. And I think one of the hard things in the games industry, especially, is just the sort of the treadmill of talent.
Yeah.
And so we've built up a lot of really invested team members, and because we've all been there together working with each other so long, it's almost like, again, I'm shit at sports analogies, but it's a bit like, I imagine like a sports team where everyone knows each other's strengths and it's really like a smooth machine. So in the sort of development side of things, that's what I say. In terms of like the game, I would say it's not publisher friendly. So it's like, and nothing's gratuitous for the sake of being gratuitous, but I'm only really interested in telling stories that I'm interested in. And this story I'm interested in because it's really got very upsetting themes.
So you are going to make the game you want to make, or not at all?
That is the exact thing. So like we had this sort of conversation internally and said, look, we could approach a publisher and we could do some sort of deal whereby like they front the money and this, that, and the other. But then with that, then you also enter territory of, well, there's going to be creative input. And I've heard, we've worked with a lot of clients now and we've,
Yeah.
some publishers, awesome. Some publishers, nightmare.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit of like one of those where we didn't want to end up, wanting to paint the canvas red and it turning out green, and all of us sort of standing there like, do you know what I mean? Like not proud of it. So we went down a different route in the end, and luckily, because we're pushing tech so far, everyone got really excited, I guess.
Okay. So you're not sacrificing your like creative vision or themes that you want to like explore. You're doing it.
Well, the way I look at it, and I constantly have debates with my wife about this, but in the film industry and in the novel industry, it's like a commonplace to have really sort of hard-hitting subject matters and things that are like, they're grey, they're not black, they're not white. You can't really sort of like
Well, it's the
in.
Silent Hill skinned babies debate.
Yes.
If you remember that
Yeah,
early
yeah,
demo of
massively.
Silent Hill, they had little skinned babies that would come out in the dark and try and stab you, and that was like horrifying. And then when the full game came out, they ended up being like the nurses. That's how they were born. But I thought the original purpose, obviously, that was too.
Dude,
for the time.
I didn't actually know. I knew that. I didn't know that they became nurses. That's what. Yeah. Like, ironically, the nurses they just weren't cool with that in the end. But
They're
like,
iconic now.
Yeah.
I
They
think
did, like,
for the remastered version, they actually brought in the skinned babies back, because now apparently no one gives a shit.
Yeah. Morals at this point are
Morals,
out the
like,
window.
The internet.
Yeah.
So like.
My opinion is like, if it's got a point in the story, and if the story you're trying to tell has a specific, it doesn't even have to be a meaning, but if there's a point, there's a purpose behind the story you're telling, then it's on the table. Like, and I've watched many a film that has the same mentality, and then it's hard hitting, but it's not, again, it's not gratuitous. It might have gratuitous elements and et cetera, and themes and whatnot, but it's serving a point, and that's kind of what we want to do. We don't just want to throw controversy at people. That's the opposite of what we want to do.
That's another reason I got excited, because like there's clearly a deep story here. There's a setting, and most horror games don't even go deep into that. And with such a visually stunning game, obviously the tech is impressive. You've been like showing me, but often on.
Dude, I'm so happy you were excited by that, rather than be like,
excited. Like, but what often I think kills that buzz is like, yeah, it looks great, or oh, we won't play like that, and the game is released and it's visually stunning, but it feels more like a tech demo than a like complete game.
Yeah.
So
totally.
like having a horror game that is also paying attention to the probably more important detail, like story and actual shock factor in that story.
Dude, I'm
I
glad
don't
you're
even know the
excited.
story, but like completely. But from what I've heard, like that there's a lot of mystery as well.
So we had this little like what do we want to achieve from this? So early days, and I said one of the things I'd love, just as an absolute fanboy of horror and a fanboy of like, I love. There's a spectrum of horror games, but even like in the sort of action side of like Bloodborne and whatnot, where people are spinning up Reddit threads to try and decipher things. If after this game releases, we see Reddit threads trying to unpick things and people trying to sort of like hypothesize as to
Was
what's
that
going
like
on.
a market strategy, like from the beginning,
Dude,
to just like
100%.
feed them little bits as much as
We've already, like, this is the funny thing, 'cause the Discord, like, we've got a really great bunch. Our community is awesome. But, like, we've been, and me and Chanel have been, like, threading things in, and no one's noticed anything yet, which is really, like, it makes me go, ooh, do you know what I mean? Like, but no one may give a shit. Do you know what I mean? It might be like, whatever. But, like, it's really exciting to know what's coming down and what we're starting to show.
Yeah.
And then, like, hopefully to look back and then see people sort of, like, trying to, you know, like Game of Thrones, I don't know if you noticed, like, back when that was like no one knew sort of the ending, there were all these threads up. It was like, oh, this is what I think is going to happen. This is what I think is going to happen. And that would be the dream for us. If someone's that invested that they want to break it down to the minutiae, that would be like mission success.
Like, you're doing everything right in my book. So
Cool,
I
man.
know. I honestly, I'm already thinking about my character. Like, you just show me like what the character looks like.
I will say, Kosi and Alexi, thank you so much, because they're doing a kick-ass job with both the concept and the
Incredible
models.
artwork. Like, it's so cool. I can't wait to start thinking about the character and like, do you have any like tips for the character or anything? Because I'm digging now.
Yeah.
I want to know.
So back when we first started chatting about it, I sent you like that like mini script of some of the lines and whatnot, and like I think the main thing to channel is that like, I don't know, I'm trying to be like non-spoilery, but he's not worried about how he's perceived. So he's really like, when you first sort of meet the character, he's written in a way that's supposed to be a bit like, oh, like this guy's just taking advantage of a situation. But every time you see him, what we want to build in is this like, oh, there's something much deeper here. And like that like not caring about how the character's perceived from the character's perspective.
He's giving me from like, he's mysterious, he's your friend, but then is he your friend? There's dark undertones, there's like humor.
He's very interested in you.
He gives off you mentioned Game of Thrones, Varys the eunuch. From Game of Thrones.
I love Varys.
Like, he's one of my favorite characters because he's so complex. But he's giving off that vibe to me already. If I was to base him on a character in another universe.
Yeah, no, I love that, and it's very much one of those like with Varys, for example, you can't really read his intentions.
Yeah, you never know if he's your friend or he's playing you. Or,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That I'm so glad you said that. Yeah, that's very much like a Phineium. A Phineium like is, he's so he wears a mask. You've seen the and if so anyone astute, they'll notice like, all these sort of masks around him, and there's like everything that is in his concept art was really like stripped down and picked to the bone. It's like, we need to show this, we need to show this, we need to show this. So if anyone is interested, they can get a couple of clues from that. It was very fucking esoteric, to be honest. Like, you're gonna have to like really like, but yeah, everything about him is like that. Everything about him is supposed to be like, what did he say? Like, that's kind of the purpose behind him. And if we've written him right, it will come across. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to
like tell me like I've got an idea in my head what the masks are for.
Could you tell me your idea?
Every time you see him, like, if maybe this might be too crazy to Alice in Wonderland, but like when he puts on a different mask, it's like a different like personality, or maybe a different mood, or is it just shit that he's collected?
Yeah, no. Yeah, so like okay, I'm trying.
What's the deal with the mask?
Yeah, mate. Yeah. So he's got lots. I will say this, and I think this is fine to say. Like, in terms of the game, he is probably one of the greatest nods to Lovecraft in the entire game. And I'll leave it there. Like, because anyone who's really astute with the Lovecraft lore, they might be able to pick that apart and sort of like work it out. But mate, he's one of the characters. We had you pinned down in the role for a long time. That's why, like I said, we got away on the beach for you. You know? But yeah, no, I'm really excited, mate. We've got our first recording session coming up, and yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can't wait. I honestly can't wait. It's so exciting.